25 April 1945. As the Pacific boiled with fire in the final, desperate months of World War II, the sky over Okinawa carried a terror unlike anything American sailors had ever seen. For this was the moment when Japan unleashed its last, most violent gamble. The Kamikaze, a storm of human-guided missiles that turned peaceful blue horizons into scenes of metallic screams and burning flesh. And in that chaos stood the medics, ordinary men ordered to perform impossible miracles as flaming aircraft plunged from the heavens. Imagine the deck of the USS Bunker Hill trembling under your feet as a kamikaze smashed into the flight deck at 10:04 a.m., sending shards of metal slicing through bodies and hurling sailors into walls of fire, while a young combat medic named Hayes, shaking but unbroken, crawled through the inferno with a morphine kit melting in his hand, dragging men who were beyond recognition, some missing limbs, some silently starring even as their uniforms burned. This was the raw, horrifying heartbeat of 1945, a year when death dove from the sky with a pilot who had already said goodbye to his mother that morning. The kamikaze pilots believed they were the last shield of their homeland, flying their Zeros low over waves, only meters above the water, engines screaming like dying ghosts as they aimed for American carriers. And yet within those suicide attacks, there were moments of eerie suspension, like on 4 May 1945, when radar operators on the USS Laffey, later called the ship that would not die, watched blips appear one by one, a growing swarm. And the ocean went eerily quiet before the first dive began, the kamikaze plane's shadow sweeping across the deck like a warning from another world. Medics on board dashed from one shattered body to another, stepping over pools of blood that reflected orange flames, trying to stop bleeding with hands that shook not from fear but from exhaustion. And still the attack did not stop, for the Japanese launched wave after wave, 184 planes in one day, turning the sea into a place where steel screamed louder than men. Survivors often whispered about the horror no one prepared them for. The sight of a kamikaze pilot's face, visible for a split second before impact, young, calm, almost peaceful, and then the explosion swallowing everything in a blinding flash. On 11 May 1945, when the Bunker Hill took 2 kamikaze hits within 30 seconds, the fire burned so hot that sailors' boots melted into the deck, and medics had to treat men whose lungs filled with smoke, while the ship itself groaned under the weight of death. One medic recalled hearing a sailor calling for his friend, even though the man had already died minutes before, his name echoing strangely through the smoke as if trapped between worlds. And yet within this horrifying struggle, courage flared brighter than the flames, because every time another plane dove, medics didn't run. They braced, they crawled, they dragged, driven not by orders but by instinct to save one more life before the next explosion hit. Even the nights were haunted, as bodies wrapped in canvas were lowered into the dark water, the splashes sounding like whispers returning to the deep, and the living wondered how many more attacks they could survive before dawn. This final kamikaze gamble failed to stop the Allied advance, but it carved itself into history as one of the most terrifying chapters of naval warfare, a moment when the line between the living and the dead felt razor-thin. And when the war finally ended in August, many wondered what haunted truth lay inside the hearts of the young pilots who turned themselves into weapons. Were they patriots, victims, or prisoners of a war already lost? And here's the question that still chills historians today. What exactly went through the mind of a kamikaze pilot in the final 5 seconds before impact? Was it duty, fear, or something far darker that history has never been able to explain?